All right, so for chapter two, we're going to kind of get into the roles and the skills that managers and leaders have. Okay. In the early 20th century, Henry Fayol kind of developed these traditional management functions. Okay. They include planning, organizing, coordinating, staffing, directing, and controlling. We're going to talk about each one a little bit more in depth. So the first phase of the management functions is planning. That's where it all begins. Ultimately, it is the responsibility of the manager, the leader, to establish the goals and the objectives for the organization. Now, we can solicit ideas and suggestions from our team members, but in the end, it's us as leaders or managers who actually then set those goals. Budgeting is a perfect example of planning in business and in hospitality because, especially in hotels, every department comes together to submit their budget. Some departments are revenue generating, so we have sales, we have front office, we have food and beverage. All of those actually bring money in. So we have a set number that we have to reach. Other departments like engineering or housekeeping, all of those are basically support services, and they don't generate revenue. They just spend money in labor and in supplies. And so they have a specific budget they have to meet as well. Once that budget is approved, then is the manager's responsibility, maybe the managers of each department, to organize of how their resources are going to be spent. Sometimes you might have heard your manager say, you know what, I have no more labor dollars. And essentially what that means is they have met their budget for the amount of dollars they're allowed to spend on labor in a particular period. And so the managers have to figure out, where all the pieces of the puzzle go so that we can achieve the goals. One way we could do that is to create and do a job analysis to figure out, are we using the resources to the best of their abilities? And so if not, then we might need to redesign our jobs. Now, as far as coordinating, that means we've got to be there to make sure that all the pieces of the machine are working appropriately. So we can't just manage from behind the desk in our office. We have to get out. We have to make sure that we are efficiently using our resources. And that means we actually have to get out and see what is going on. With the staffing, we want to make sure, obviously, that we're always completely staffed. Very rarely are we ever completely staffed. As you all know, in this industry, we have what's called a high turnover. And so we're constantly having to hire and train, and all of that takes money. But part of that is that's the function of management. We have to train our employees. We have to, do job interviews. And the better we can do with our interpersonal skills, working with people, and developing those relationships to where people want to come to work, where people enjoy the work environment, then that lessens that turnover. And so it's our responsibility as managers to make sure that we really are our human resources, the people that are working with us, that their needs are being met. Now with directing, this is more about influencing our team members rather than just saying, you have to do this by this time. You are more leading them through influencing our team members to make sure that everybody is performing at the highest level. And so as a manager, it's your responsibility to create that environment where people do feel like they want to come to work. We create an environment where people can be the most successful. So if we can identify specific hurdles that our team members have and develop a way to, lower that hurdle or even possibly remove that hurdle, then that will allow people to do a better job. They'll be more effective and hopefully more efficient as well. And then as they're successful, they feel great about, reaching their goals, and the organization will just benefit in the end. Controlling, okay, now controlling is kind of an interesting word. So with the controlling aspect, it just basically means that we have the responsibility to analyze the performance, whether that's through job performance evaluations, whether that is through our profit and margin, our profit and loss statement. However we decide what the metrics, what the qualities of performance are, we need to analyze the actual performance against what our standards were. And if those things do not match up, if we are not on target, then it's our responsibility as a manager to take control of the situation and identify, well, where are we lacking? Where is that gap? And why are we not getting to that highest level? And then from there, we go back to the planning stage. And it's a continuous cycle, okay?